It's time for Coming in Hotter, Sens post-game show.
Welcome back, everyone. Live from the Sports Interaction Studio, it's Cody Gaudreau with Coming in Hotter. Sens win 3-2 over the San Jose Sharks. Man, that was an entertaining game. In the first period, in a what was, not exactly the same type of period we saw last game from the Sens, but still not a bad one, I'd say. Um, kind of told myself, was like, man, these Sharks are scary. I knew they were a better team than their record showed, but they're obviously a young team, younger team. They wouldn't mind getting a good draft pick this year, but they looked pretty darn good uh in this game, for a team that's, let's see here as the ranks are pulled up, 10 wins, 9 losses, and 3 overtime losses coming up against the Sens. It was a pretty good challenge that they ended up going very well. A bad start, we'll get to it a little later. The call's not necessarily going the Sens' way, but for myself, it was a pretty good game if we're talking about my betting props. So we'll get to that a little later. The 3 goals from the Sens coming from, I'd say guys that really, uh, deserved it, we'll call it, because Dylan Cousins, who opened up the scoring from a beautiful pass, it was really, first of all, it was just a real nice tip. Like we talked about the Batherson play last game about how, those kind of tip-ins are pretty impressive from my perspective. But what a play by Stutzla to recognize, the open man in front. And I mean, Cousins just felt like he deserved a goal. I don't know how many high danger opportunities he had this game, but it was a lot, and he just felt due. He just felt like he was due. Zetterlund, great shot from him in the second period to tie it up, because I was right. Cody was right not to rub it into too many people's faces. Uh, and then Tim Stutzla, sorry, uh, you know, sealing the score. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. We'll get to that in a couple minutes. But yeah, Stutzla capitalizing on an opportunity where Nick Cousins just couldn't get that puck across the goal line. But no matter, Stutzla was still had some speed. Decided to put it down on a really nice play from Batherson on getting that pass in. But yeah, it was a really fun game to watch. And let's get to the props because your boy's got one right. Your boy has got one right, and it was super fun to see. So this segment is brought to you by Sports Interaction Sportsbook and Casino. Every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. Bet the action on every period, every shift, every shot with Canada's homegrown sportsbook. Sports Interaction, Ontario only, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. So I'm starting to be satisfied at just getting one right out of 3, because this thing's kind of hard, and of course it was the one with the lowest odds of getting right. But you know what? I still got one right. Zetterlund. I'm 2 for 2 when I picked Zetterlund to score. So was really happy with that. Uh Gaudet, just the other bet was the kind of the same mentality, guy up against his former team. I was looking for it to I was looking at it, it's always poetic. You have to shove it in your former team's face sometimes. And that's what Zetterlund did. Not exactly the same case for Gaudet or Ostapchuk. He's a guy that I thought about putting down too. And Pinto, I mean, it's Pinto. If he's going to score, he's going to score. I don't think that's ever a bad bet. He had a really nice dangle around Dmitry Orlov, uh, you know, about midway through the third period, which, you know, it was a really nice deke around Orlov, but he could not bury it, which is kind of the story for the entire Sens, I guess, their roster. You could see that Matt Palo and what's his face, Merrilainen weren't in the lineup tonight because they had no finish for a good chunk of the game. Sorry about that. And yeah, again, Pinto scoring. He's on a hot. I felt like he could have started picking up the pace after last game up against Anaheim, but didn't pot one tonight. But he had some good he had some good chances. And yeah, Sanderson, just, it felt right. You know, He was all over the ice tonight. He's a great player, and I thought of putting down Shabbat, but I actually wasn't sure if he was playing. I only got the confirmation that he was playing after I put those props down. But at the end of the day, didn't get a point. But he's a guy that did not look out of place at all. So let's get back to recapping the rest of the game because as I said, I'm satisfied with my picks tonight, but every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. From pub drop to overtime, bet with live odds on every play with easy deposits and payouts. Go to sportsinteraction.com/cominginhot to open an account. Ontario only, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. So we'll start it off with the first period, and to get back to that Dylan Cousins goal. I mean, I think I've said. Sorry, let's skip that because we already talked about it. But I mean, I've said it. It's a really nice tip in for a guy that was really due for a goal. That I'm really liking that Cousins Zetterlund duo. Two guys that have been maybe not struggling is the right word so far, but they've been playing well, but just can't bury the puck as well as they should have been. Sorry, I just dropped my pen there. Uh, as well as they really should have. But that duo, and then putting Eller in with them, it adds a really nice dynamic that, first of all, I'm not used to seeing Eller on the wing at all. But it worked out. It's nice seeing a guy who was, pretty much ever since the Sens acquired him, penciled into the fourth line. But yeah, it's nice to see this guy, it's nice to see that you can jumble mix the lineup around, especially in the absence of a guy like a certain Brady Tkachuk. Next goal coming from John Klingberg, who, he's a guy who I thought started falling off, but he's having a sneaky good season. That was his third goal in 14 games for a guy who, a magician on the power play. And, he's got a spot there on the Sharks. But to me, it was just one of those goals that, Ullmark couldn't really see anything. I think it was I don't exactly remember. It was Wenberg. Wenberg in front of Ullmark did a really good job screening, but good shot from Klingberg, and it ended up working out. Now, that was on the power play, and that's from a call that created some controversy. Jake, if you want to roll that clip, Hayden Hodgson gets a 2-minute penalty for hitting Mario Ferraro. Now, here's the clip. I'm gonna ask the chat how you guys feel. Now, Hayden Hodgson, 6'2", Mario Ferraro, 5'11". It's an argument I saw a lot online saying, man, the guy doesn't deserve a penalty just for being taller. That's a logic I never understood, guys. Because you're telling how many guys 5'11" or in general shorter than him has Hodgson hit in his career without getting a penalty? It's a big number. I don't know how many either. It's a big number, guys. It's his responsibility not to make contact with the head. And I think he got lucky only getting 2 minutes because contact was made with the head. To me, plain and simple. And yeah, San Jose capitalizes on the power play. And yeah, that's true. Like, it's his responsibility to keep the elbows down, not make contact with the head. Maybe kind of the vibe I'm getting from, it's a exactly. I agree with Ferg over here. It is a penalty. He deserved a penalty. I thought I wouldn't have been surprised if he got a 5 in a game. Alas, like I said, he gets lucky. But San Jose capitalized on the power play. He learned, I guess, maybe it's a lesson learned for him. But the thing I wanted to emphasize, it's something I see a lot from those. This is not the best way of saying it, but guys who maybe fringe NHLers for Hayden Hodgson. He's a guy, he's still getting his still getting his feet wet in the NHL. There are guys that really want to prove themselves, and the best way to do that is by being physical, and they're being a little bit over eager. It's he was an animal on the ice for the whole game. I don't know how many hits he took. How many hits he made, but it's maybe you just want to get a little bit harder than you should. Maybe you want to go for that one extra hit where it might not be the best idea to prove the coach, hey, I belong here. And that's something we saw with Jack in Montreal. That's something we saw in Jeannot when he was getting early in his career. But the rest, it's something we see a lot in that kind of player. But I digress. Then, yeah, it's intermission, 1-1. Barclay Goodrow gets credited for that goal, which I was sure it was Wenberg, by the way. Yeah, right after the Sens come out of the box after, or no, right after San Jose comes out of the box after a Sens power play, didn't work out, and then San Jose comes back the other way. Beautiful pass from Wenberg to set up whoever was in front, and then he bats it in, but I guess it hit Goodrow's skate. Not really sure what happened there. And yes, we are not related, by the way. Me and Barclay Goodrow, in case you couldn't tell by the spelling. Not really going to blame Olmark on that one again. From a rebound that kind of bounced weirdly. He played a great game. Those 2 goals were not his fault at all. And then Fabian Zetterlund, we knew he had a shot. Just about time it beats a goalie and does exactly that. What is there to expect? Hit the post off of an amazing feed from Dylan Cousins right before. So from that point on, it just felt like he was destined for a goal. And yeah, pops it right under Askarov's arm. And then Tim Stützle coming in the other way, bearing it down. I talked about it earlier. It was a great effort from Timmy there. Also, right after the Goodrow goal, we saw Hodgson finally get to answer for his hit on Ferraro. Sorry, guys, I'm all over the place here, but we're going to go back to that Reeves fight, just talk about that a little bit. To me, it was kind of a boring fight. Reeves definitely won that one. I don't think there's really an argument saying that Hodgson, had a fight. He did kind of lose his footing, lose his balance, and then from there on, for guys that has experience in fight as Ryan Reeves, it's hard to recover from that. But I say good on Hodgson for answering that. He, a lot of people around the team, around the broadcast, calling him the young guy. I mean, he's 29 years old. He's been around pro hockey for a while now. He knows that once he takes a hit, once he goes for a hit like that, that he's probably going to have to answer. Kudos to him. Reeves is a tough customer. Whatever you think about the way he plays hockey, but he knows how to fight. Sorry, who is there in the chat? Ferg Murdoch. You're active tonight. Do we have a new coming in hotter star over here? But talking about Batherson's game, he did look off a little bit. He had a really nice play on that last Tim Stützle goal. But yeah, something about it felt off. I'm not going to say he played bad. Did not exactly look like he usually does. But when the other guys are stepping up around him, I don't mind. David Perron looked really good on the first line next to Stützle. He's the guy that's really starting to, find his spot. I remember how maybe not dismissive, but how skeptical I was when Nick Cousins got jumped up to that first line. And now that I've, got that open mind to seeing guys who might not be first liners play on the first line, he looked good. You could see where it's those it's that experience pops up. Yes. Also, I saw a couple of people talking in the chat, but Zygmunt bringing it up here. Yes, let's hope Chabot is not out. Didn't look too bad to me, but I'm not an expert. There's always something weird that can happen with those types of injuries. Shot breakdown. That's where the Sens, really looked good. If you want to pull up, Jake, I'm forgetting his name. Oh my God, the tweet I had you pull up about the opportunities in the second period from Julian McKenzie. Oh my God, Julian, I'm sorry. Hopefully you're not listening. They had a lot of chances. Just looking at the shots in the second period, Ottawa 15, San Jose 7. How I had the high danger chances in front of me. I forgot to save them in front of me, but Ottawa just looked like a completely different team in the second period. They were, I don't think dominating is too far off, but Julian McKenzie saying here, Ottawa should have so many more goals or at least chances based off of these turnovers alone. He brings up turnovers. I bring up shots. They looked amazing in the second period, and I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that. And I mean, in general for the game, 6 shots in the first period for San Jose to Ottawa's 5, but after that, like I said, 7 for San Jose, 15 for Ottawa in the second, and then San Jose 6, Ottawa 7. in the third period. That ends up being 27-19 for Ottawa. And face-off breakdown, Sens winning at 61%, still leading the league in face-off percentage. And yes, uh, sorry, I know it's my second time saying, but Zygmunt, I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, Claude Giroux going absolutely crazy at 81% in the face-off dot tonight, and that's not just 81%. That's 17 out of 21. Like, this guy was taking face-offs. He's good. He's really good at taking face-offs. Eller too, although he's listed playing on the wing, he did take a good chunk of the face-off. 75%. That's 6 out of 8. Oh my God, Paul joining in from Costa Rica. That's awesome to see, man. Yes, 2 wins on the first 2 games of the West Coast trip. It's awesome. And yes, Claude Giroux looks like him in his prime. You know, I saw a tweet maybe a couple weeks ago saying it feels like he's been an Ottawa Senator his whole career, and ignoring the fact that he played for any other team. And you know what? I like that mentality, and I'm good to I like that joke. And yeah. Sanderson drawing a penalty after losing his stick, going back to the first period. Now, this is, something I don't want to overanalyze, but something I notice, especially when young players lose their stick and they're kind of just stuck in a defensive play. You're without your stick, which means Ricky Bobby moment. What do I do with my hands? And then Sanderson, he chases down, Kurashev, and we know Sanderson can skate. But when you know that your only option is to make body contact because you can't use your hands, that's where players, they'll often lean into the contact with their hands because sometimes you do lean into the contact with your stick. But he has great discipline to, arms down, shoulder in, brings Kurashev down. And in the process, I mean, I don't blame Kurashev for being frustrated after that. You just got beat by a guy without a stick. But, bit of a lack of discipline on his part and a good show of discipline from Sanderson drawing that penalty. And yes, Roberto joining in from Quebec City. Merci beaucoup. I love it. I love seeing people joining in from all over into this post-game show. Really shows that the Sens do have a reach across Canada and across the world. But yes, that penalty drawn from Sanderson is what led to that Dylan Cousins goal. So good on him. And it was amazing to see because, again, that Cousins was due to that goal. I don't know how many times I have to say that, but no, it was great to see. Yeah, and then sorry guys, as I'm jumbling through through my notes over here. Now, something I wanted to point out. I don't like talking about officiating. In fact, I think this is going to be my first time talking to it on this show. Michael Amadio getting called 2 minutes for interference early in the third. If you want to roll that clip, Jake. Lifts stick of the defender while they're on the power play. Stick goes flying through the air, which I think is always hilarious. But he gets called for it. Now, how many times have we seen that around the NHL and it not being called? Because lifting his stick while you're in the offensive zone, completely normal thing to do in hockey in general. And Amadio gets called for that. Now, the interference rule is a rule that, leaves a lot of room for interpretation in the NHL rule book. That being said, we're always harping on consistency from the NHL. Last game against Anaheim, Sens are on the power play. Sens are on the penalty kill. Shane Pinto is in the slot, gets his stick lifted right out of his hands. No call. That is just one of many examples of that exact thing happening and it not being called. It's odd that they call that on Amadio. Now, to me, it is something that should be called. But if you're going to call it for everyone, NHL. That's all I have to say about that, because how many times have fans asked the NHL for consistency? That's all I got to say. But yeah, it hasn't only happened to the Sens rally. It's happened to every team, but I don't know how many times they've called it in total, but this is the first time at least it's been called for a game the Sens have played. Consistency. Also, Mike, couldn't agree with you more right there that that did feel like a turning point for the Sens. They were, it was still 0-0. It was still 0-0, and it just felt like the Sens had an extra pep in the step, especially after San Jose. They looked dangerous in the first period, and that's something we really love to see. Now that I've harped a good chunk too about Cousins, Zetterland, along with Eller on that line, that's the line that had that's the line that had the most the most ice time. Sorry, there I was looking for the word. 7.5 minutes. Yeah, people calling me out for being alone. Yeah, Graham was supposed to be with me tonight, but there's two mini Grahams in his house that he had to take care of instead of dealing with Mini Yorkie, which I'm slowly embracing that nickname. But yeah, that's Dylan Cousins, Fabian Zetterlund, Lars Eller line getting 7.5 minutes of ice time, which did lead out of the rest of the trios. That perfection line, or sorry, perfection line. I'm thinking in Boston. The Untouchables. There we go. That's what we called them. Amadio, Pinto, Giroux getting just over 7 minutes. Also, Sanderson, not surprising, leading the team in ice time. Thomas Chabot getting just under 22 minutes. That's something we're used to seeing from Chabot, but coming back from an injury, figured he'd, take it slow this game. But again, I talked about it last game about, putting a lot of stock in not looking out of place. He did not look out of place. Jesse bringing up Allmark, stopping 17 out of 19 shots. Again, the numbers aren't the greatest, but we're talking about the two goals he let in. Not going to blame him for any of that. And yeah, he's he had I think the broadcast showed a 918 save percentage in the last 4 games. So if a goalie's going to get hot in November, which is known to be the hard part of the season, can't exactly complain about that. Retrograde Pictures over here bringing up a point that actually I talked a little bit during the game. Do they get another top 6 forward? So right now, at least from what I've heard, the only bona fide top 6 forward being shopped around in the NHL is Andrei Svechnikov. That price will be so high. And just in general, do the Sens have the assets to grab another top 6 forward? No, this year's first round pick is already up in the air. Can't really trade that. Is Yakimchuk and Hensler up for trades? Is one of the Wisconsin guys, but then do those guys get you a top 6 player? Do you look at picks 3 years in the future, 4 years in the future? That's a big question. So I'm going to agree with Jesse here that a mix of cap space, a mix of having the young team, a mix of having the assets. Plus, they are getting a top 6 forward in a couple weeks. Brady Tkachuk will be back, as he said, either for the Vegas game on Wednesday, or the St. Louis game on, I think, Thursday, as I'm pulling up the schedule here. And yes, memory did serve correctly. Busy night tonight. Paul saying he would love Tom Wilson. Paul is in love with Tom Wilson, everyone. And I think that's fair for me to say. But busy night tonight for Ottawa hockey. Ottawa Charge with their home opener, PWHL, started last night, unfortunately for them, losing 3-0 against last year's last place team, the New York Sirens. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Charge, keeping an eye on the Charge this year. It's a very big question mark season for the PWHL this year with 2 extra teams, and Charge, a lot of new players on the squad, and some of the old guard, leaving. A lot of question marks. It's going to be an interesting team to follow. Oh my goodness, guys. Then of course I saw Jesse bring up the CCHL in the chat a little bit earlier. My Ottawa Junior Senators winning 2-1 against the Kemptville 73s. after last night playing in Rockland, they got their 11-game winning streak snapped, and then playing against the third place Kemptville 73s, of course, OJS being in second in the league, bringing their momentum back. They're still 7th in Canadian junior rankings as far as this week. Hopefully they'll climb up the rankings next week. But yeah, we'll be back to you guys. Ottawa will be in LA at 9 o'clock on Monday. Hopefully we see a little bit more goals than we saw last week, because Cody likes to see some goals during a hockey game, and they're playing those same LA Kings 9 o'clock Monday night. Hopefully I'll be there with you guys for sure. It's still up in the air whether or not Graham or JMO are gonna be with me, but it's still gonna be a fun night. We have some fun here over in that Coming in Hotter, don't we, chat? But thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for subscribing to Coming in Hot. If you haven't, click that subscribe button because you don't want to miss anything of my annoying voice. But we'll see you guys on Monday.
You've been watching Coming in Hotter, your home for Sens post-game coverage all season long. We're live after every game. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show.